Alaska. The word alone conjures images of snow, of the mountains, of a world apart, the last frontier, a place where nature is not yet wholly conquered. And for now, in the farthest reaches of the state that is accessible only by 8-seater bush plane, we can still see her at her best. Beautiful, silent, and let's not forget, cold. Bettles, Alaska is 35 miles north of the Arctic Circle, situated 30 feet from a public airport and covered in snow. The nearest major city is Fairbanks, a mere 241 miles away. In the summer, it's impossible to drive to this remote region, as the surrounding area is dominated by acres of bogs and marshland. In the winter, the various towns unite to carve their own road into the frozen tundra. This is, without a doubt, the last American frontier. As you fly over the crisscrossing lines in the snow far beneath you, you can't help but wonder who made them. If there's a dog sled team working their way through the powder, or a lone truck plowing through the forests. As you stare at the roving hills, you're left to entertain a single, puzzling thought. There are entire sections of Alaska that no human has ever set foot on. Because this is a land of undiscovered gold. It's the forgotten world, the state so many overlook. This isn't a patch of snow in the north. This is a 663,300 square mile state, about 2.5 times the size of Texas. This land is so large, it's about a fifth the size of the lower 48. Entrenched in the unknown, Alaska is a land dares you to conquer the snow and stake your claim. It's a snow-capped world of self-discovery and introspection, a place where you can simply sit and watch the days slip by. But I'm here for Bettles Lodge. I'm here for the Northern Lights. It's said that Bettles has some of the best aurora sightings in the state, if not the world. Situated perfectly under the Aurora Band, Bettles has the clearest skies and best weather in Alaska. The serendipity makes for some truly remarkable light shows. However, getting to Bettles is an adventure in and of itself. We take off from Fairbanks, and on the day we're scheduled to leave, it's a balmy -20. I walk outside and it hurts to breathe. I can feel my hair freezing and it's not even wet. It's safe to say I am not cut out for this kind of cold, but I don't care. There's a pot of gold in this adventure, and I am going to see this through. This is the sort of frigid dryness that literally dehydrates you with every breath. The kind of dry air that can crack your skin. Drink up and keep your bottle full because you do not want to dehydrate out here. The flight takes us into the wilderness, over fire breaks that protect Fairbanks from the wildfires that ravage the snow-covered state every year. We fly over the pipeline, over the one bridge that connects Fairbanks to the one road headed north through the snow. We fly over the tundra, and finally, we fly over the Arctic Circle. We're nearly there. In this remote area, everything is accessible only by a handful of very small planes that carry everything from people to cargo to mail and supplies. These planes are the lifeblood of these remote towns, the one vein that keeps them going. And if you're lucky enough to fly by Bettles Air, the pilot Carl is full of stories. Ask him about panning for gold, or the pipeline, or about the world beneath you as you fly. The hour ride sails by as fast as the tundra below you, and before you know it, you've arrived. Bettles. Population? 10. The town is a smattering of buildings covered in snow, with shoveled paths cut into the snowbanks that guide you between the doors. The folks who live here are hardy, welcoming, and enduring. Right away, we're greeted and invited into the lodge, and thank goodness because it is freaking cold. Most of the town is shuttered. With a wooden board over the door and snow piled over any vehicles, it's clear there's no one home. Bettles' population swells in the summer, when the milder weather draws more visitors and part-time inhabitants to square off in some friendly competition for the tourist cash. Aside from the lodge and its historic buildings, Bettles has a handful of homes, a weather observation tower, and a shuttered visitor center. Steam billows from the modified chimney as the lone maintenance man keeps watch over the darkened rooms. The front door is locked per a government order. It should ideally open around March, but no one's sure. A layer of snow 3 feet thick covers a handful of planes left out in the elements. But that's the norm here. Along the runway, trucks and heavy machinery sit idle, waiting for summer. And that's when I notice it. The silence. I knew I was coming to quite literally the middle of nowhere, but I wasn't expecting quiet like this. With the bags put away and the tour done, I find myself standing in the snow. The white sky barely moves. Around me, 200-year-old spruce trees bend under the weight of this year's snow, their growth stagnated by the lack of sun. I would have guessed they were perhaps 60, if that, maybe victims of a wildfire and doomed to regrow. But this is just the way things move up here. Slowly. It's kind of the point. As my boots crunch through the stillness, all I can do is listen. My fingers start to freeze through my mittens. My ears sting despite my hat. None of that matters though, as I look up at the sky and drink it all in. The quiet. No wind, no planes, no chatter. Out here, it's easy to retreat inward, to reflect, to imagine. It's easy to lose yourself in thought, to let your mind wonder and wander and dream. As the snow drifts onto the fake fur lining of my hood, nothing but little white blurs in my periphery, it gets easier to ignore the cold, because out here, you can just be. It's almost staggering how quickly I lose track of time. In this lodge surrounded by snow, it's easy to forget what day it is. There aren't many clocks, and with only a few hours of daylight, it's no wonder time loses meaning. Routine doesn't really exist out here, and that's not necessarily a bad thing. This place doesn't just let you unplug. It forces you to stop, to close your laptop, to prop up your legs and grab a beer. The internet is fleeting and slow when it works at all, and you have to simply trust that the world is getting by without you while you're gone. Because this world, out here, is entirely separate from anything you have ever known. Out here, there's just silence, with a hint of risk. None of us goes out alone. With temperatures sinking into the negatives each night we're here, it's just not safe. Snowmobiles are a favorite way to navigate the small town, but the locals know better than to take them onto the frozen lake, because nothing stops water, not even the cold. And it looks like this year there could be several feet of freezing slush hidden between the frozen lake and the snow that covers it. That's a death trap. Nature is beautiful here, but she can become deadly if you take her for granted. Serene, but isolated. And it's important to remember how far you are from the nearest hospital. We bought medevac insurance to cover the $30,000 emergency flight back to Fairbanks should the need arise, and I suggest you do when you go. Because you want to. Risk be damned. It's just part of life on the tundra. Stay on the path, listen to the warnings, and you'll be fine. Though you know the dangers, your mind will still wander. As you stare out at the snow-capped mountains, you can't help but wonder what else you don't know, and who or what is out there. The dogs love to run, and I mean they love to run. They bay and howl as they're hooked to the sled, some of them so eager they pull on the harness, trying to pull the sled solo. The pack sits out in the snow day and night, adjusted and bred for this weather, with bodies that run hotter than humans or any other breed of dog. This is their habitat, the world they love, and they live to run through the snow. Every pup has his or her own personality. Natasha's a darling, sweet and eager for pets. Rocky is a heartbreaker, always patiently waiting for his attention. Salt is a talker and a jealous girl at that. If you pet anyone else, she reminds you where she is, since obviously you've forgotten. Trooper is a goofball, always rolling through the snow, and Buck just wants someone to play with him. The dogs are adorable and endearing, but the sledding is a thrill. The path carves through the snow-capped forests, an icy roller coaster with no track. We fishtail and slide around every curve. The dogs bolt down the path at full bore, the patter of their feet on the snow a symphony in the silence. Welcome to the beauty of Alaska, to the beauty of Bettles, to a world that beckons you with the promise of isolation and adventure, of the kind of cold and snow that you knock off your boots on the way into the lodge. Welcome to an escape like no other. The one thing you quickly sacrifice out here is control. The sky does her own thing, never one to run on a schedule. Forecasts mean nothing out here and change on a whim. To see the northern lights, a nocturnal schedule is best, but the next best thing is having someone keep watch in the night. And when the lights decide to appear, dress quickly and bolt. Just inches from the Bettles runway, you stand almost directly beneath the North Star. As the lights dance across the dark sky, you can see stars most people don't know exist. The world fades away in the Bettles night, and all that matters, for a time, is the cosmos. It stretches on forever, vast and infinite, a million burning dots in the sky that serve as the perfect backdrop to the solar flares casting magic in our atmosphere. The aurora itself is oddly white, with only a hint of green or pink visible to the naked eye. After a lifetime of seeing the vibrant photos, I have to admit this is not what I was expecting. It looks like glimmering white fog that snakes and shimmers along the horizon, and I briefly wonder if I'm wrong, if this isn't the aurora at all. But then it dances. On a truly clear night, if you're lucky, you see the real show. And this is what we came for a natural wonder of the world, for something you must brave the tundra itself to see, for magic. The show starts when it wants to, it ends when it's done. And for those of us lucky enough to see it, we're rewarded for our trouble, because that's one of the pillars of Alaska, to watch as nature takes control, at least for a time. In the vast stretches of the American tundra, we face a frontier. In winter, a frozen world of snow-covered sand dunes and drooping pines weighed down by the years they've lived under the oppressive gray skies. Those of us who visit here are reminded of our comforts at home, of the ease we sometimes take for granted. We see the glamour of an ice-tipped world beneath the northern stars, a world where things move slowly, and we're reminded that we don't always need to race to the next thing on our list. We're given permission to relax, to unplug, to look up at the stars and step away from responsibility for a time. Those who live here are resilient people who are drawn to the quiet, to the solitude, to the peace of a world accessible only by plane through most of the year. They're ensnared by the snow, tempted away by the promise of adventure, of something new and truly extraordinary, of something few others will ever understand. Alaska is a place that snares your heart. In summer and winter, there's grandeur here. The sleepy beauty speaks to a primal part of your soul, calling to a part of you that longs for something more, something whole, something untouched and perfect. As the plane leaves on our last day in the tundra, I'm struck by the raw honesty of this icy world, by the lingering American beauty of this wilderness. The expanse doesn't pretend to be something it isn't. It's cold, it's rough, and it's stunning. There's no pretense to be had while wearing 4 layers of snowcoats and iron-tipped military-issue boots. There's no expectation out here but to exist, and that alone is a breathtaking thing. Just you and the stars, and that stunning northern sky.